Pump it up, pump it up.
Trae.
Come on, come on.
With Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
It's the day with
This is the day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peace that make this thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I get to welcome you to a Feel Good Friday. And you know what? I'm going to talk about feeling good because we got some great guests in the building today. We got Keith Tucker back in the building from Hip Hop is Green. We're going to be talking about his organization and their upcoming Hip Hop Climate Conference. And later on in the show, we got Kyle Johnson with AVELA, who is also participating as a partner with this amazing conference. So we get to learn more about AVELA and how he's connected to the Hip Hop Climate Conference, y'all. So when I talk about feeling good, you know, if we got good climate and we're feeling good about what we're putting in our bodies, it's definitely a Feel Good Friday. But of course, it's also the top of the show, right? So this is the perfect time for you to share this show with others who you feel could benefit from a daily dose of dopeness we work to give you here on the Day with Trae. So, you know, if you can't watch our show, guess what? I mean, we have you covered, y'all, because you can listen to it anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and the Day with Trae. You'll find us on your favorite platforms. Well, up first, we got Keith Tucker back in the building. What's up, Keith?
Hey, what's up, Trae? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you too.
Yeah, so this is exciting. The last time you were here, we talked a lot about Hip Hop is Green and you starting, you know, the organization and really bringing this understanding of the connection between hip hop and clean eating and healthy eating all together. So just for those who may have missed it, give us a recap. What is Hip Hop is Green?
Hip Hop is Green is the first plant-based hip hop organization in history. We started back in 2009 and we served over 40,000 free plant-based meals to youth and families all around the nation. So that was our original mission. But when you've been in business for 16 years, things evolve, right? And for what the times are. So right now we're working with youth on climate change and a really cool event that we have coming up soon.
Well, we all know that. I think, you know, I love that youth voices are involved in climate because we understand that this is going to need to have repair for generations to come. And so the thoughtfulness around the products we're using, how they're impacting the climate and the planet is so important. Tell us a bit about how young folks are getting engaged.
Yes. So when the pandemic happened, we kind of pivoted our organization. And so we started a program called the Youth Excellence Program. And that Youth Excellence Program is geared towards teaching young people about climate change. And we still have healthy eating in there as well, too. So they have we have an intense program. So they go through 10 weeks, they have mentorship, they have field trips, they have discussions. It's a life-changing program because we spend hundreds of hours with the kids in our program. And then they get introduced to people like AVELA at the University of Washington to take it a step further. So we're in the business now of creating a new generation of climate change makers, people that have new ideas, new concepts, and that are introduced to climate change and healthy eating at a young age. So, and they're doing great. Tell you one thing we did, they planted over 3,051 trees so far in our 10,000 tree program. So they're out there doing it.
Well, what I really appreciate, especially when I think about impactful programs for my youth, was action-based, right? Like it was me getting my hands in the soil. It's me connecting, you know, with opportunities to utilize my energy towards something that's beneficial. And what I love about the work y'all are doing is that it normalizes behaviors and practices that are going to be good for our planet, that put it in the hearts and minds of young people to carry it forward, right? So the days of industrialization and the harm that it caused to our planet, or, you know, how we think about cattle and meat production here in the country and how that has such harmful, you know, byproducts to our planet. I mean, having young people engaged in the facts
Mhm.
of how everyday things that we have now normalized as our everyday lives and how they're harmful allows us to create new practices. Are
Yeah.
you seeing that with young folks that you're
Oh
working with?
yeah, those young folks are on it. We pull back the curtain, right, so they can see the dirty little secrets that the factory farming industry does not want the public to see. The plastic industry as well, right, and the same thing with the fishing industry, right. So they understand that every system that supports life on planet Earth is in jeopardy right now. And so it's going to be up to them to change laws to get in a position where we can hold these corporations accountable for what they're doing. We've had movements in the past, like the civil rights movement and other things, but climate change and this movement that we're doing right now is probably the most important work that we've ever done on the planet. So we want to get the word out. And that's why with this program, it's all under the umbrella of the 10th element of hip hop, right? So that's needed in the culture for all of these degrading and debauchery and demonic things that are happening in the culture of hip hop. We need a balance. And so the 10th element of hip hop is a way that we can balance that out. And so that's what this whole curriculum is based on. All the work that we're based on at Hip Hop is Green is moving the culture of hip hop in a green direction. And, me as a senior citizen of hip hop, I have to pass the torch to younger generation. And that's where organizations like AVELA come in. That's where the young people that we've been working with come in, is for me to be able to pass the torch to the next generation. And the amazing work that AVELA is doing will get the job done. And, with a little help from Hip Hop is Green.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it's a phenomenal partnership, but also I really appreciate you talking about the state of hip hop right now. It would kind of be remiss of me
Yeah.
to not at least go there a little bit, right? I mean, we're seeing a lot right now. It may be centered around some of celebrities we've known for a long time, but the idea of somewhat what people are calling almost like an awakening is taking place. But what I love about what Hip Hop is Green is doing is that it goes back to the original concepts of the beginning of hip hop.
Yeah.
And you've always been very intentional about that. Tell us why that's been so important to make sure people understand the origin of how hip hop was really generated to give voice to the concerns of community members in an artistic way. You've always connected those things.
Yeah. Growing up in Seattle, I've been very fortunate to be around Elmer and Aaron Dixon and the Black Panthers. Growing up in that civil rights and that activism has always been a part of me. My dad, he helped found Langston Hughes as well. So it's been a part of my family. But in hip hop, that's been a part of the foundation of what hip hop really stood for when we first started hip hop culture. But then as the record system came in there and selling music, and it came into the business, and other people from outside of our community came in, all of that stuff changed. And now what it is we don't control the narrative of what hip hop is on the planet, right? We don't control the artists that are coming out. These artists are selected. The music is selected. We have so many hip hop artists, some that are going to be at the event, that have wonderful music that is about revolution. It's about upliftment. It's about feeling good. It's about health and wellness. It's about all those things that balance the culture out. We've had that balance in the past, but now there's no balance in the culture. So we want to put balance in there, and that's what the display of the 10th element of hip hop is. It displays all of that stuff.
Yeah, I really appreciate you ushering in and introducing the world to the 10th element of hip hop in that way. And I appreciate your intentionality to say, like, hey, in these times, it's important to remember that this is an opportunity to bring it back to the origin. So I appreciate that. But I got questions because, I got a 10-year-old. I'm like, how do people get their kids into the programs that y'all are doing? Because I need him to get plugged in.
Sure. So we run our programs just within the community. So we'll put out an announcement that we're starting a program on such and such date. And if your son wants to join, we'll get them in, and it's that simple. So we'll market at the community centers, the local high schools, and let them know when the date starts. We've hired more people now, so we're building capacity because of the need of our program. So it's doing really well. So, you can reach us at hiphopisgreen.com too, as well, to get plugged in. And if you're really excited about it, just, DM us or send us an email or whatever, and we'll get you plugged in that way.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know that there are ways for people to get the young people in their lives tapped in, because I think the sooner people have an understanding, especially young people have an understanding of, the climate now, doing something about it makes waves and changes our future. So I'm so grateful that y'all are doing that. But of course, you got this amazing, this is the first hip hop climate conference that y'all are putting on. Tell us about some of the things you're excited for the audience to see.
Oh man. So we have MCs come in, like Freeway, like Sa Rock, like the legendary pioneer Easy AD of the Cold Crush Brothers. We have Albert Hughes, is the director of Menace to Society, the Book of Eli. He did Dead Presidents, and so many other movies that he did. And he's going to be talking about climate change as well. We have so many people that are going to be on different panels, just dissecting all the different areas of climate change for you. So it's going to be a historical, phenomenal event that we're going to have there. You can reach us at hiphopclimateconference.com or hhccc.org. So that's where people can reach us. But, we need people to show up and represent, we need high schools to come, young people to come. We need you, Converge Media to push it out there, right? So that people can understand that this is something that originated from Seattle, that is going around the world. We have people teaching the 10th element in France, all around the world, right? So this is something that's very important. And right here in Seattle, we're the first ones to ever do this stuff. So it's a pioneering work, and it's really transformative to young people when they get involved with, Hip Hop is Green and AVELA and our new organization, the Hip Hop Climate Conference and Concert.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say thank you so much, because you've been dedicating yourself to these efforts to make sure we're all aware and that we can plug in and tap in. So thank you so much for everything you're doing, Keith. Looking forward to a great conference.
Thank you so much, Trae.
Absolutely. Y'all, up next, I'm really excited because we got Kyle Johnson joining us with AVELA. We're going to be hearing all about the work they're doing, and Keith has already bigged them up. So I'm excited to get into it with Kyle right after this short break. You definitely don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Seattle Opera presents the world premiere of Jubilee. Jubilee follows the historic Fisk Jubilee Singers' initial tours following the Civil War. While raising funds for the fledgling Fisk University, the group shared their music around the world, showcasing more than 40 African-American spirituals such as Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, Deep River, and Wade in the Water. Jubilee is not to be missed. October 12th through 26th at McCaw Hall. Details at seattleopera.org.
Hello, welcome to Elite Insights with Carlos Imani. We're looking to offer an in-depth look at event production industry through the lens of client experiences and joint successes. The podcast will emphasize guest interviews, focusing on client discussing their fields and reflecting on their collaboration with Elite Collective. Again, you're with Elite Insights. Carlos Imani here. See you guys in a few.
My mind a lot, don't need no time watch. I don't know how I got you in my pocket spot. Yeah, this babe, need you every day. You seem like the barging down. Got my heart no barging in. From the bed to the floor to the couch. Might wake the neighbors up, break you in and break you out. In the end, we gon' make a child. then we gon' hit the show. Part 2, we don't need no pause. Misty, we gon' get tipsy, don't need a power shot.
Copy my steel. Face the fact that. Copy my steel. Face the fact that.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now is Kyle. Hi, Kyle.
Hello, hello.
Hey, you doing all right?
Yes, and yourself?
I'm good. And it's great to have you here. Now, Keith already gave us a little bit of connection about the phenomenal work you're doing at AVELA. Tell us more about what got you started with this organization and why you're there.
Yeah, I was an undergrad actually when I was at the University of Washington, and it felt like there were speed bumps, roadblocks, speed limits, and just a lot of obstacles to actually being able to kind of like juggle all the academics that you're learning and then trying to apply it in the community, specifically like your own communities. And so I ended up studying abroad in South Africa, and I studied racism in the education system. It compared to post-apartheid South Africa to post-Jim Crow era US. And one of the things that I learned out there from a very bright girl named AVELA was that it's not people that beat systems, it's systems that beat systems. And so when I came back inspired by the folks that I met there, I started AVELA, which was an acronym for A Vision for Engineering, Literacy, and Access. The idea being that when, you know, these certain systems that are in place feel like they're getting in your way, instead of maybe just trying to fight them, we can create our own ways. We can create our own paths.
You know, this is the kind of revolutionary work that we talk about years to come that says, wow, like that was a catalyst to start changing the narrative and also moving the needle in a different direction. When you think about the larger vision for AVELA, you know, and the practical ways that it is going to impact the folks you're working with, the young people, tell us a bit about what that looks like for you.
Yeah, I think it changes the perspective that we all have on what students can do. It's a student-led group, it's a student-led organization. Even as I've gotten older, it's remained that way with students who have come up after me. And I think one of the things that you can kind of notice with that student-led group is that the hunger is always there, because those are the people who are experiencing the problems. If you have this kind of detachment, which often happens at organizations, right, then sometimes you lose a little bit of that fight and that vigor when you're no longer the one that's having to go through that issue. And so when it comes to education, we have what's called a multi-tier mentorship model. And so we have like graduate students who help mentor our undergrads. Those graduate students are sharing like cutting edge technology, research, and devices and things like that the undergrads can then work to go out and share to their communities. They're just a year or two away from graduating high school and being in these areas. So that knowledge is very fresh, and the access to those resources and how to get, you know, your way to them is something that's just inherently a part of the program model.
Yeah, I mean, literacy is huge. And I think sometimes people think, oh, it's too broad. You know, it encompasses a lot. How have you been able to kind of operationalize literacy as one of the letters in the acronym for AVELA?
Yeah, we focus on tooling. And so I always tell our students, when you're going in and you're teaching, half of it's to teach a technical tool and half of it's for life mentorship. And so on the literacy aspect, it's making sure that they're in a place where, you know, mentally, emotionally, they actually have the capacity to engage with the learnings that they have during the school, you know, hours. And then as well, when they're engaging with those technologies, well, is it doing a bunch of boring math homework, or are you learning tools that can operationalize yourself to go and solve problems? So like some of our programs, we're teaching them how to program in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. For the web devs out there, they probably know that's website development. We'll partner with the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, and then they'll bring in local minority-owned businesses. And now our high school students that are learning how to program are making websites for local minority-owned businesses, and they can walk around in their own neighborhoods and see that when they go there and go online and be like, oh, I made that site.
Wow, that's really a practical way of not only doing the work, but making it community-centric. Why is that important in terms of that community connection for you?
Because that's what motivates the students. At the end of the day, it's all about the students pushing for their vision. And what the organization is trying to do is be a system that empowers them. As I mentioned those roadblocks earlier, we're just trying to remove those from our organization and get as much funding and resources and mentors behind that as possible so that these students can help themselves. And at the end of the day, that is what the goal is, to mentor and guide them so that they can help fix their own problems. they're the ones that bring those issues to us instead of vice versa.
Yeah, there we go. That's a great motto. And I'm seeing it more and more. And I really am enjoying hearing the different ways that, you know, the work being led by young people moves the work forward in ways that others would not have even thought of. I just really appreciate the innovation of the model. And I love seeing how it's coming through to fruition for so many different entities. Now, you are connected to Hip Hop is Green with this amazing Hip Hop Climate Conference. Tell us about why you stepped in to say, man, this is important. We need to be a part of this.
It all stems from Keith Tucker, who's got cousins and family everywhere. Some of our students were actually being mentored by one of Keith's cousins, who was like, you know, y'all should really get in contact. And so like 3 years ago now, we got in contact and started doing some more, you know, we teach STEM classes, doing it more focused within the climate and environmental justice lens. And so we've worked with Keith in expanding some of the programs that he does to include some of these STEM topics and research. We had, you know, projects that we've partnered with Microsoft Research on a research perspective that will then, like, you know, simplify down and teach those technical topics to the students that are in the class. And that's for doing things like environmentally friendly electronics. There's like more than 50 million tons of electronic waste that goes and sits in the ocean. And so trying to work with these, you know, giant companies in order to figure out solutions with students in mind and getting them the skills so that they can be the leaders in those industries is something that we've been working on. And when Keith was like, we should really try to take this to the next level, I was all for it.
Wow. It's really beautiful to hear it. And for me, you know, I was able to study environmental sustainability in Kenya. And it was mind blowing for me, because when you talk about all of this stuff sitting, like the waste, we have a lot of work to do to repair all of that while building solutions that don't continue to cause that harm for the future. So it's a really interesting kind of time we're in right now. How do you see all of that working with AVELA?
Innovation. And so that multi-tier near-peer mentorship model I mentioned is taking a lot of the research that our graduate students that are working on, that are trying to innovate in that space. They're working towards solutions to making these devices so that they don't end up generating a lot of waste. They're working with companies to make sure that we can actually have devices that maybe go out and help clean the world. And so working towards those innovations with the communities who are most impacted by them is how I see AVELA working towards that solution, because now our students are in the know. Our students are the ones with the skills, and they're the ones that are going and getting hired by these companies.
Oh my gosh. No, you were right, Keith. You were right. I mean, this is phenomenal work. And I start thinking about the ways that young people get excited about changing the world for the better. And that motto is something that I think has kind of had these different iterations in every generation. And now we're talking about climate, we're talking about electronics, the merge of the two being so significant right now. So I really appreciate the work you're doing. When you think about the things you're excited for when it comes to this conference and bringing people to understand the connection of hip hop, the climate, you know, all the ways that we are innovating, tell us why you're excited and some of the things you want the audience to know about.
Yeah, I've got some mentors that have been a part of AVELA out of Stanford, like Afi, and out of Berkeley, like Nya, who are going to be coming to the panel and speaking on that student and innovation side. And so I'm really excited to see the clash of generations. The people who have kind of been doing this work for a while, being able to hear the ideas and the vision that maybe some of the younger folks coming up out of their PhD programs or coming up out of undergrad with all these ideas and different entrepreneurship endeavors, hearing what they got to say so that they can get some advice, hopefully, and learn how the folks who have been successful before kind of were able to be so.
Wow, this is really, really cool. Of course, I got to give you time, because folks are going to want to know how they get plugged in with AVELA. Like, how do students actually find themselves working with y'all? Please make sure you look right here. Let folks know how they tap in.
Yeah, I'll say that last year alone, we taught to 2,000 secondary school students. That was at community centers like the William Gross Center, at the Ethiopian Community Center. We teach out of middle schools, elementary schools, and high schools in the area. If you go to avelaccess.org, that's our website. We've got contact information there that you can reach out to us if we're not at your school. As long as we've got a classroom, we will bring very engaging content and representative mentors to that area. And then as far as the Hip Hop Climate Conference and Concert, we've got the Hip Hop Climate Conference and Concert, hhccc.org, where you can reach us there as well.
Wow. Kyle, great work, my friend. Thank you so much for everything you're doing and the ways that you are paving the way and exemplifying what it means to go and learn the stuff and bring it back to your community. This is really exciting for me because it's a model that we're always trying to not only exemplify myself, but teach my son. So I love being able to uplift a young person who's doing just that. Thank you so much for being here. Anytime you want to come, talk about programs, anything y'all are doing, the David Trae is here for you.
Much appreciated.
Absolutely. Wow, y'all. What a phenomenal Friday. I'm going to wrap all this up right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Here on Back to VESA, it's always been important to me that we uplift stories from across the region and that no matter where you live in the nation, you never have to miss a moment of the show as we continue to highlight the beauty, excellence, and resilience of our communities across the Pacific Northwest. Why? Because representation matters. So no matter where you live, be it the Central District or Centralia, Portland or Pullman, or anywhere across the country, I encourage you to join me on this Back to VESA journey by downloading the free Fox Local app on your phone or smart TV as we continue to elevate the very best in our communities.
Big Tobacco thinks they know everything. They think they know you, your community, the places you go, and the way that you spend your time. They think they got you all figured out, down to a formula, a calculation based off of numbers of what they think they know. Show them they're wrong. Learn more at theythinktheyknowyou.org.
Welcome back, y'all, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I'm over here giddy because I'll tell you this, and I just said it to Kyle. My mind is not often blown, but it definitely was today. So it is beyond being inspired on this Feel Good Friday. Not only am I feeling good, I hope you're feeling good and that you are inspired. When we talk about being able to bring our brilliance back into community and take all of the ways that we have learned something that oftentimes benefits large corporations and sometimes trickles down into community. You know, Kyle said, no, I'm bringing it directly here. We are making sure that kids have pathways to this innovation that exists at the higher level so that when they get into engineering programs, he just said 70% of the students. You know what? Say it again. I don't want to mess it up.
70% of the Black students that got into the College of Engineering at the University of Washington were involved in our programs in high school.
Okay. Now, see, now you can come back to me. Now, this is what I'm talking about. That is powerful work. You know, this is why I love having this platform, y'all, because you know it's all about elevating this work so that you are engaged and informed. And of course, an organization like AVELA needs all of our love and support because this is the kind of stuff that's going to change the game. You know, when we talk about building ecosystems in community, we're often talking about how we get entities like AVELA as a part of that ecosystem. And already he's there. Those young people are there. All those mentors are at William Grove Center bringing this information to young students so that they can see themselves in these roles and actually understand how to make changes when it comes to climate, to make changes when it comes to innovation and technology. And that's what really gets us excited here. Because you know, the Pacific Northwest, we had a huge block of folks that just came on in because of tech jobs. And it didn't necessarily mean educating those who were from here so that they could see themselves in those paths. But we need entities like AVELA to do just that and to be tapped in and plugged in with all of the ecosystems that we're building locally so that it's not something that's hard to reach for our young people. So when I tell y'all I'm fired up, I really am. And I want you to be fired up, right? Because not only can you learn more by coming to the Hip Hop Climate Conference and Concert, you can also tap in with Hip Hop is Green. You can tap in with AVELA and find your way to be plugged into these innovative solutions that are happening right here in Seattle and on the ground from our community by community. this is exciting for me because I always think about the young people in my life, and of course my son and now my grandson, right? And I think about how years to come, how impactful this is going to continue to be when we start to see that innovation hitting the product market. That's what gets me excited, because this is not theoretical. They're working on things that are practical and that can be operationalized in our community. So y'all know, I want you to get there, get the information, get tapped in, figure out how young people in your lives can be one of those young people planting trees, and also being young folks who are innovating technology to make it better for future use. Oh, y'all, what a great way to end the week. Huge shout out to all my guests this week and to you for joining me. I always appreciate being able to bring y'all inspiration. And you know, I get fired up when I'm inspired like this. So I want you to be inspired. Find a way to be a part of the solution, as Keith and Kyle have shown you they are today. And you know, for me, y'all, I'll be back to give you more inspiration on Monday. Until then, at 11 a.m. Peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.